This has been a long time coming, and I'm sorry it's so late. I'm late with all my videos recently. That's just how it's been. So this is my stack of books that I read in November and December. Some of them are obviously not here because they were audiobooks. I will also talk about them, but we're gonna flip it over and talk from start to end what I read. That's obviously not gonna happen anymore. Hi everybody, my name's Darby. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I have my November and December reads from the end of 2019. So how I finished off the year. I ended up reading 68 books last year, which was way over my goal of 20, which go me. Only 2 of them I DNF'd that say that I finished, so I guess it would be 66. We're gonna say 68 because it sounds cooler. So I started off by finishing Arusha and the Song of Death. I had to think about what it was called for a second. Arusha is so good. I love her so much. I cannot wait to read the rest of the Pandava Quartet. I'm ready for it. I'm gonna get the books and the audiobooks. I don't currently own a copy of the second book because it's in hardcover and I would like the paperback to match the paperback that I have for the first one. But I did give this 5 stars. It was a perfect way to start my November of not doing very much reading. The next book was my first DNF of 2019, and that was Fairest by Marissa Meyer. I want to read this book because I want to know what happens. I don't want to read this book because I've heard many people don't like it. I did give it 1 star on Goodreads, which 1 star for me means I DNF'd it. I left like a little review. It says like where I finished, but there was like, this is how much I read was this little bit. And I had so much secondhand embarrassment, and that is the one thing I can't handle, secondhand embarrassment. So I DNF'd it, and I'm gonna save it for a later date because I think that I don't want this world to end because I love it so much, but like I don't want to see Lavana's story, if that makes any sense. I have no interest in it. Maybe I'll try again eventually. You know what? Probably not. And I'm probably going to end up unhauling this book at some point because I don't particularly like novellas, and this just proves it. The next book I read was The Field Guide by Tony something and Holly Black. I don't know. It's the Spywick Chronicles, and I remember reading this one in class. It's like under 200 pages, greatly under 200 pages, and it was super easy. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I love Spywick the movie, like Spywick Chronicles the movie, and reading the book was just great. There's pictures everywhere, like it's hardly any reading. I loved it so much. I'm probably gonna have to end up buying the whole series at some point because I think it's a fantastic world. The next book I finished is Unnatural Creatures, a bunch of stories that Neil Gaiman selected. I started reading this, I think, in the beginning of September, and I finally finished it on December 3rd. So this is my first December book that I finished. I read it sometimes in the book, sometimes I read it on script while I was in class, and I would like read 1 story at a time, and some of them were okay. Some of the stories, maybe like 2 or 3, were okay. They were fine. But other ones made me think and made me question things, and I normally do not like short stories. Will do anything I can to avoid reading short stories. Like I only ever read them for English class in high school, but like some of the ones in here were fantastic, especially the last one. I was like, wow, okay. Most of them are a bit creepy. They have a supernatural element to them, some weird unnatural creature in there. There's like a sunbird, there's a couple of werewolf stories, a griffin, that's what says on the back. Those are the ones that stood out to me the most. Lady Death, which was cool. And I might read this again. One was about a blob. So there's lots of pictures of blobs in there. If you want a creepy collection of short stories. I gave this one 5 stars, so that just tells you that I really enjoyed it. The next book, no surprise, I read The Seeing Stone, which is another Spywick Chronicle book. Read it in class, had a good time, gave it 4 stars. I'm going to be addressing a lot of Spywick books, but I'm just telling you the order that I went in. Then I ended up reading King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. This is probably my favorite book in this entire series. I'm just saying that right now. It was perfect. I loved everything about it. But I listened to the audiobook, which was my first audiobook for this series, and I don't regret it. It was great. I loved that there was changing of point of views. I actually really enjoyed Evangeline's point of view so much. And I liked Iris, I think her name is. I liked her point of view as well. It was really cool to see. And I gave this one 5 stars. The next book I read was the second book in the Mercy Thompson series, and it is Bloodbound by Patricia Briggs. So this one specifically was werewolf related. Yes, because there's bats on the front. Remember that. So this one was a bunch of werewolves. Or not werewolves. This one was vampire related. The first one was werewolves. This one's vampires. It just like continues on the same kind of story, but she deals with supernatural creatures in different ones. And I honestly want more like this. I'm probably going to read whatever Patricia Briggs has because I gave this 5 stars. No issues there. I want more. So books that are like this, please tell me, and I'm going to continue on. The next book I do have a physical copy of. It is being lent out currently. It's Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Truly Devious is a mystery book and like kind of detective work. I listened to the audiobook and read it at the same time, which is basically every book that I've been reading recently. I loved it so much that I told my cousin about it and she was like, oh, and then immediately borrowed it after I finished it. And I gave it 5 stars. It has like a little bit of time jump because they talk about stuff that happened in the early 1920s, I think, and then like in modern day time, and they like kind of mix together, and then the book ends on a cliffhanger. Good for me that I have The Vanishing Stair over there. I haven't picked it up yet, but I have it so that I can continue on because that was a big cliffhanger and I did not appreciate it. But it was great. 5 stars. Especially for somebody who doesn't like mystery. I like hate mystery books, and this one was like mystery detective work. I was like all over it. The next book I do not own and I don't know if I will purchase it. I just listened to the audiobook. It popped up on my Libby. I was like, alright. It is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This book was pretty funky. It was like a historical retelling with witches and kind of like it was a fictional retelling kind of thing. I don't know how else to describe it because it was historical, and she made 2 people meet when there was a witch trial because somebody survived a witch trial, and she made that the reason why the lady survived the witch trial, even though historically we don't actually know, and they probably never ever met in real life, these 2 ladies. So it was like interesting. I don't know how else to describe it. It was a fun read. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I read shouldn't be a surprise because I'm now prepared for the next book, which is coming out this month in January. I think it's already out. Today's the 21st. I think it's coming out today. Okay. It is A Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. Oh my gosh. Traveling around America and going through loops is everything I needed. I need the next book immediately. I think I've reserved the audiobook on Libby already, which is going to take a while to get to me, but I'm gonna buy it and it'll be great. I do like the audiobook. It's fun to listen to. But like, Jacob is the best. Just saying. Obviously 5 stars. The next book I read, also no surprise, Iron Kissed, the 3rd book in the Mercy Thompson series. This one is more, this one's the Fae. Yes, this is the Fae one that they do. This is really where romance started, and I really appreciate the romance, and I like the romance a lot, and the way she deals with it is very adult and not like, oh, I don't know which one to choose in my love triangle, because there's a love triangle, but the way that she executes it is perfect, and I loved it. I appreciated it a lot. 5 stars, obviously. Next book I finished, I think I read this one just on the train. It was on script, called Lucinda's Secret, the next Fireway book, the 3rd one. No surprise there. And then, okay, the next 4 books, I finished 2 and then started and finished the other 2 in the same day. So the first one I finished, because this was a lot. I had been reading this one for a bit. I was listening to the audiobook, and I finished this one like early on in the morning, gave it 5 stars. It is War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. This is a beast. I don't know how I read this as fast as I did because I don't remember it. It was like so long. And I had it on Libby and it was insane, and I just needed to finish it before I went on my holiday, and I did. It was like literally, this is like the Sunday night before I went on my holiday, I finished this book, and it was crazy and I loved it. It wasn't my favorite kind of ending. I do enjoy Evangeline's ending to her story. That was great. Mare and Cal and everybody else I think just deserved a little better. I'm just saying that. Yeah, it was good. Technically I've done this series, but I do have the other one, which is I think called Broken Throne, which is like 4.5, so it's like a bunch of after stories, and I will read it. I will get to it eventually. The next book I also had on Libby and I needed to finish before I went on my holiday, and that is Middle Game by Cian McGuire. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know. Holy crap. I actually went and purchased the audiobook for my coworker so that she could read it after I finished it because I thought it was so great. It's a bit weird and I didn't understand what was happening until like that point. So like all of this was just fantastic. It is different and a little confusing but it's perfectly executed, and I gave it 5 stars because oh my gosh, there's like magic and alchemy, but like they don't know anything about it, and they can reset stuff but they don't know that, and oh my gosh, it's so good. I don't have any words to describe it other than I loved it. The next 2 books that I read were the only 2 graphic novels that I read in the entire year, and I gave them both 5 stars. And the first one, I've had actually both of these forever, and I just needed to read them, and I wanted to read them before the year was over, and I did. So they're the last 2 books that I read. So the first one is Volume 7 of Deadly Class. This one is called Love Like Blood, and I actually watched the first episode of the TV show because it's on Crave now, and I really liked it. I was like, okay, this is cool. I've always loved the artwork and the storyline of this story, and it goes really kind of like slowly but not really, and I know there's one after this, and I think that's it. So there's 8 of them, and I need to get it and read it, and it will be great. The last book I read in 2019 was Username Uprising by Joe Sugg. I read the first 2 when they first came out because I was a huge fan of Joe Sugg as a YouTuber, and then I bought this one. They were released like 1 year apart from each other, and then this one didn't come to Canada for another year after it was published, and it came out in hardcover, which the other 2 are not hardcover. So I was like, what are you doing to me? So I was like a little annoyed, and it had been 2 years since I read the other ones, so it took me forever to pick it up, but I finally did. Can't even remember what year this was published, and I just needed to choose it. I just needed to go for it and finish this trilogy, and I do enjoy it. I like the story, and I thought it was great, and I will keep them around because I need more graphic novels, if that makes any sense. Or yeah. So those were the last books that I read in 2019 for November and December, because November there was only like 4 books or something. December there was a lot. Let me know if you have any recommendations or any books that you think that I would like, and I will give them a shot. I love book recommendations. I think it's so amazing. I think that maybe if in December I did like a reading challenge or something, it would have been better, like after finals obviously. And November was NaNoWriMo, which didn't go so bad, I guess. It was probably my worst NaNoWriMo ever, even though I got I think like 30,000 words. I didn't feel like writing, which was not good. I picked the wrong story to work on. Anyways, let me know what you read. If we read any similar books, that would be awesome. Let me know what I should read, because book recommendations are always the best. And I hope the rest of your 2019 went well, even though today's already January 21st and I don't know when this video will be uploaded. We'll find out. All my socials and links will be in the description. Blog, my 3 Instagrams, anything really. I don't really use Twitter, but I use Instagram a lot. So go add me, follow me, message me. We can be best buds. Have a great day.